Welcome back to the Transport Vlog, and it's good to be back. Thank you for tuning in again to this, an ongoing series of looking at the one story in transport that I think that you need to know about. And I'm going to try and break them down as simply and as concisely as possible for you, the loyal viewer. Now, we've all had a short summer break or so, or well, I hope you have, and we're all back to work now. And the one sector that was going to really count on us all going back on holiday again was the airline industry. So how have they fared? Well, not particularly good really, as predicted. Demand is still down, coronavirus measures are still in place, there's a patchwork of different quarantines and lockdowns and all these kind of things between different European countries, different parts of the world. So demand has struggled. 80% lower in July this year than in July 2019, sort of as predicted. Eurocontrol, Europe's air traffic management regulator, says that in September about 20,000 flights will take to the skies in Europe, which is a downgrade of what it predicted only a few weeks ago. Purely because of that, because there is this patchwork, this different amount of measures between different countries, despite the fact that the European Council has adopted a sort of similar list to one another. The European Commission last week came up with this sort of joint plan that they want member states to fully embrace in order to make sure that it doesn't matter where you're going in Europe and where you're coming from, you will enjoy the same measures, quarantine. You'll have to quarantine for X number of days, whatever, take a test. So there's a little bit more confidence in airlines. So how have they really fared? Well, some airlines have started up routes again. Some are operating at lower capacity than they wanted. Brussels Airlines, for example, wanted to get to a certain point this month, but hasn't been able to. And they say that it's because of these measures not being the same everywhere. But what else? So airlines and airports have been a little bit at loggerheads recently because they don't really agree on the airport slots rule. That's the 80-20 slot splits where airlines have to stick to a certain number of airport takeoff and landing slots, otherwise they lose them, business models, all this kind of stuff, quite technical. Earlier in the year, the European Commission agreed to suspend those rules because we had empty planes in the sky as airlines just wanted to make sure they didn't lose these slots. That was until the end of the summer season, was coming up to that point now. Airports, of course, get paid for these slots, so they're not so keen to have this waiver extended, but because the industry is in such dire straits, the airlines and airports have both agreed on this joint position, which is quite unexpected, really. But given how bad things are, it's their only recourse. Later this month, the European Commission will do a report on how they see things going. All indications say that they're going to grant an extension through the winter period. Whether or not that will go all the way through into 2021, we'll see, probably, because that's how the airline sort of sees it is split up. What else have they been up to? Well, testing at airports. Me, your humble correspondent, came back from a unnamed EU country a few weeks ago and was red listed because of the number of infections that were where I was. That meant a test and a quarantine period in Belgium. No testing at the airport when I got back, so I had to arrange my own clinic appointment. And airlines say that while there should be testing at airports to build confidence in passengers to go back to airports. I mean, there are all sorts of different arguments being made pro and against this. Yes, it's convenient, but also because of the unclear incubation period of this virus, you can have a test at the airport, be given the all clear, but you're given a false negative, if you will. But they want more testing rolled out. Maybe you have to pay a premium for that if you need to have the test there and then, but the airline lobby wants more testing, basically, so that passengers are more willing to go back to airports. Whether or not that's a good strategy or not, as with everything with this virus, we don't know. We really don't know. What else have airlines been doing? Well, mad offers. We all wondered whether or not this pandemic would lead to prices going up because there are fewer passengers, or prices going down because there are fewer passengers. At the moment, you take a look at Skyscanner or budget airlines' websites, and it's the latter. Prices going down. Ryanair very cannily had this offer last week where you could go from Brussels Charleroi Airport to Brussels Zaventem Airport via Barcelona, of all places, for cheaper than taking the train. Something like €10 return trip. So they are really keen to, if you're not that confident in the hygienic aspect of plane travel, you are at least into the, cost-effective aspect of plane travel. And that's where the airline industry is at the moment, struggling. They've done things like renegotiate contracts with aerospace companies, Airbus and Boeing, Some airlines like Wizz Air and Air Baltic, regional carriers, low cost, have actually accelerated plans to get new airplanes because they have managed to make their business model work with this new reality we live in. Other companies just simply can't afford these new planes anymore. They're looking more at leasing models. Who else have we got? Alitalia. Is it an airline anymore? Apparently so, but more money is being thrown at it by the Italian government, 200 million euros or so, to compensate for the damages that it has incurred over this year. It wants to put another 3 billion euros into this company to restructure it around a new business plan, fewer airplanes, different routes. So we'll see how that goes. Is it more bad money after bad? Who knows? Thank you for tuning in, though. That's where the airlines sort of stand at the moment. It's a fast-changing, unclear world that we live in. Tune in again next week, and we'll look at something else to do with transport that is either very obvious and you should know about it, or very niche and you should know about it. Thanks. See you then. Ciao.